Brian, you're a man after my own heart. Graham said if you need some kind of device or some technology to help present your thing, I said, just a whiteboard. Keep it simple. So actually, I gotta take this one off. I'm sorry, girl. And I want to say how excited I am to be here, and I hope that what I give you today gives you an opportunity to think about a couple of things, and that you can pull it into your life as you're becoming these emerging superstars. Like Graham was saying, I've been around a little bit. You can see by the gray hair, and then I also need glasses as well. Right? So, sorry, let me get my notes here. I'm going to put a statement out there, and we're going to let that mull around in your brain for a little bit as I write a few things up on the board, and we'll come back to them at the end. But it's that you guys are going to be tested this year, and it's going to be more about your team culture than the teams you play. The important battles are going to be won or lost before the actual games get played. Okay, so from week to week, the things you do during the week and how your team culture grows from where you are right now is going to be a bigger part of where you take your team and yourself over this next little bit. The background that Graham's given me on your team is that you're well on your way. You've got a really good foundation. And again, that's part of the reason I'm so excited to be here and be a part of that, because I can remember being back there, similar age to you, similar type of position. And I mean, it's kind of scary. Well, not scary. When, right now, don't take this wrong, you guys are in 12th spot. Nobody ever wants to be in that spot, right? When you're at a tournament and it's the top 12 teams and you're ranked 12, who wants that spot? Well, I'll tell you who wants that spot, because back in the day, that's where we were, okay? Very first World Cup, 12, going into that tournament thinking, don't want that spot. Later on, as a coach, I got to realize, you know what? There's teams that aren't even in that top 12 that want that spot. That you're still there, and now you've got an opportunity. It's sitting right in the palm of your hand, and it's a chance to take hold of that. You don't want to squeeze the life out of it. You want to take that, and you want to nurture it, and you want to grow it for all it's worth. Because I'll tell you, the experiences that you can then go, like if you talked to me back then where you're at now, and said you're going to travel to almost every continent on the world, and you're going to play in some of the best stadiums ever against the best teams in the world. I came from a weeny little small town called Bigger, Saskatchewan, okay? And it was bigger, it was more a play on words because it wasn't anything but big, okay? In the prairies, there was nothing, okay? And I know there's little communities out here in the boonies of Australia that are pretty similar. So you've got this opportunity, and we're gonna, again, there's lots of, well, you know, I started looking at like, where can I go with all this? And there were so many things, and so first I'm going to really quickly address the goal setting, because that's obvious, and the coaches I know they've already started you on that path. So just give me 1 second here while I get a marker and write this out. I like to talk with my hands, so this is going to be a real challenge. So I'm just going to do this for right now. I apologize for you guys, I'll shift this, or if you want to shift, feel free. Okay, I'm going to go like this. Now, I don't know specifically what your vision is, but I'm sort of imagining that this is where you are and it's your first go around here at Premier League, that you want to get up here, right? So that's kind of an assumption I've made. Now, whenever you do this, when you go on a plane ride, right? You sort of go from A to B. And I don't know, nowadays you can't sit in the cockpit, I don't think. I've been lucky enough, again, because the number of plane flights I did back in the day where it wasn't quite such a big deal. I've been able to sit in the cockpit and you take off, and I remember coming in for a landing thinking, we're not going to make the runway, we're not going to make the runway, because the plane was coming in crooked and it was kind of wobbling like that. And sometimes you don't realize that as you're journeying, you're trying to stay as close to that path as you can, but you know what? Stuff happens. Sometimes you're only doing a little bit off that path, but sometimes it's a bit bigger. You have a baby. Okay, that's a big one. Like, you kind of have to stop, at least for one day. Right? And I know some that have gone right up to, and then squirted that baby out, and then sort of been back on the bench for a few weeks, and then hopped back in. But, you know, as women, that's one of the ones we face. It could be injury. It could be the weather. You kind of get to the game, and it's yucky out, and how does that affect you, right? There's so many things that kind of bump you off that path, okay? Some of them you can control, and some of them you can't. You can't change anything about them, and you have to really start to look at what can I do. So again on this, what's important about this is the vision. Where are we going, okay? Now, I'm not going to talk to you at all about the field stuff, like, you know, any of that sort of thing. I'm going to kind of put over here positive. Work ethic. It's kind of a given. Sorry if my writing's like kind of messy, but we'll just talk through this. Okay. No matter what sport team you look at, or and in lots of ways this transfers over to life, and that's another reason that I so value sport, especially for young women. There's not very many areas in life where you could get to work through this kind of thing that will set you up for your career life. But if you have a positive work ethic, and you have a positive, solid base of skills, and you guys have shown that for sure you've got the foundation of that. If you had a team that went last year, like for a year and a half, kind of undefeated, made it, you know, like you're definitely on the right track, and you've got a good foundation. So I'm not going to be addressing that, all right? And you put positive core beliefs, solid, good core beliefs, and positive team culture. That is a powerful, powerful formula for success. And so sort of the theme of my talk is do hard things so you can do great things. Okay? And don't just be mediocre, be excellent. And I'm just going to challenge you hopefully with a couple of things as we look here at team culture. And these two things, although I'm going to present them a little bit separate, they're not. They're totally intertwined. And I think you kind of get that in your heart or in your core as an athlete. You know that it's some of it's about you, but it's all about the team. But you still got to take care of yourself. But at the same time, you got to do it in a team context. And a team context puts stuff right in your face, right? So as a coach, you're sitting in the meeting, and stuff gets brought up in front of other people. Whereas if you think about it in a work environment, lots of times if a boss is going to talk to an employee, they'll bring them into the office by themselves, and that's where they get their talk. Lots of time in a team environment, it's with the team. You guys start to, you're going to, in terms of team culture, I want to look at how do we build a positive team culture. We're going to talk, the main thing I'm going to look at is harmony. Because we have a thing called false harmony and a thing called real harmony, and they're different things, okay? And how your team grows from here on in is going to determine that. If you start to have a culture of false harmony, you're going to stay mediocre. It's just the way it works, all right? If you can build real harmony, you're going to go places, and it will be fun. I guarantee it, okay? So when we look at your core beliefs, and we want to look at how do you self-analyze, and this is one of the things with the coaches, and I talked a little bit with Graham about. With this, when you start to do team debrief, and I'm pretty sure that's where the whiteboard comes in, right? Because the coach gets up, here's our game plan, here's what we're going to do. And I'm not sure how you handle what happens after the game, all right? But it's really important, what are your core beliefs? And since you've been in yard, everyone's over 10, you're over 10, yeah, okay. Generally, your main core beliefs are already established by the time you're 10, all right? And so it's the ones sort of outside. As you move through those, those don't have to stay the same. But whatever your core beliefs are, that is going to affect the actions that you take. And so I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Just let me make sure I get this right. Yeah. Wrong spelling. And this is more just to keep me on track here so I don't get too far off. So as we go through, and I'm going to talk here, and again, kind of flip-flop a little bit back and forth, but team culture, okay? We're going to look at specifically kind of your performance debriefing, whether that's practice or a game. And it's not something that you write down every time. It doesn't become this big, huge thing. But every day, as an athlete, and the coaches are doing it all the time, no fear with that, is to start to look at, yeah, I get you, I hear you. Okay. How are you performing? Okay, how is it that you're performing? And here's, I'm going to put some out to Brian first, okay? Because you've got to start with the coaches, right? Because ultimately that's where your leadership starts. But in terms of building this team culture, all right? It doesn't happen if athletes don't become more self-aware about their core beliefs. And so lots of times what happens is we kind of get into a thing, the coach will start to speak and say, here's what we saw going on in the game. And sometimes the athletes may do that, but the challenge is that, and it's sometimes, not but every now and again it has to be the athlete that speaks first. Because when we start to look at false harmony, what happens when we look at false harmony, she does that one, there we go, okay, is someone will say what they think you want me to hear. So you ask me something and I'm going to try to answer that and I'm going to give back to you what I think you want to hear. And it's not really what's getting at my gut, okay? So when it's false harmony, that's what I'll do. I'll avoid conflict and difficult conversations. I have a perceived agreement on everything. You present the game plan and everyone understands your role, everyone's good, you know what you're doing? Yep, got it, coach, got it. Okay? Right? There's unspoken hurts, concerns, frustrations, uncertainties that don't get aired. They sit in there. Or when they get aired, it's in the meeting after the meeting. So you go, you have the team meeting and stuff happens, and then everyone leaves, and it seems on the surface that everything's good. Team, we're on the same page. And yet, that door closes as everyone walks out, and they go off into the locker room, or maybe a hotel room, depending, I don't know if you guys, I guess not sort of traveling, but you get somewhere, and then you start having another conversation, okay? And it ends up being something that becomes self-defeating as opposed to building up. And you don't, lots of times you're not doing it on purpose. But again, that's why we need to every now and again address our core belief. Where am I coming from? And am I creating true harmony or am I promoting false harmony? And again, with the false harmony, you get passive communication. So basically, you're not really communicating the truth. And I want you to keep hold of that word, the truth. Okay? False harmony is very comfortable and it's easy to do. It's much easier to just kind of toe that line or kind of hold that in and not speak how I truly, really feel. Okay? If you look at real harmony, it is all about truth. Truth is invited into every conversation. Truth is spoken to help each and every person reach their potential. Because it's only by each individual reaching their potential that the team can reach its potential. Okay? Truth is used to evaluate the performance of coach, athlete, team, parents, okay, everyone that's involved with that group. Truth is used when we do that evaluation. And it invites productive conflict. Because here's the bottom line, you guys. Nothing is for free. There is always a cost. Okay? Lots of the costs that you have to do are totally fun And it's really good, and it does feel fun. Like when you're out at practice, some of the stuff it's so much fun to be doing it. When you're playing the other team and things are clicking and the passes and you're going and, you know, everything clicks and you get down and it's a beautiful goal, right? There's the team hanging out. And ask a retired athlete, some of your lifelong members here, what's the thing they miss most about when they get away from the sport? And it's hanging out with people after the game or, working towards, maybe you're doing a strength workout together or you're doing something and working hard together. It's those kind of things that you miss the most. You do miss playing the games, but it's that camaraderie, and when you get a real closeness and a real positive team culture, that's what you miss. And you listen to any of the guys, any sports person on TV, when they get asked, that's one of the main ones that they come back to. Right? And so it's that team stuff. But it means you're going to go through conflict. Real harmony lets you share your thoughts, your ideas, knowing that everyone is not always going to agree. There's going to be some disagreement, but that it's okay, that you're going to be working through it together to come towards what is the best thing for us as we go to move forward, and how do I play a part in that. Okay, so real harmony means everyone, that's coaches, players, they understand the important battles are won or lost before the competition begins. And so that all this work that you're going to do on the field comes, and when you get to the competition, you're ready to go. Because that's then when you get to play to your potential. Real harmony is hard, and it's uncomfortable, okay? But its friend is excellence. If you have false harmony, its friend is mediocrity. Okay? So truth allows you to put your cards on the table and see each other's hands. Now, here's where the risk comes. Okay? I don't know how much you guys are moviegoers. There's some great sport movies out there. One of them is League of Their Own, and it's about professional women's baseball back in the war. Okay, there's a line in there, and comes in, there's no crying in baseball, right? Or the one that goes, oh no, sorry, this one. It's hard, and he's talking about she's getting out, oh, it wasn't for me, it was never for me, it was just got too hard. And he goes, that's what makes it great, is that it's hard. Not everyone can do it. Okay, there's been people been in your position before that had the opportunity. I played with some of those kinds of people. I saw they had the same opportunity, same age, their same background as me, really similar, and they didn't grab onto it. Okay, and they didn't do the same thing, and they've got regrets. Right? Because you've got this opportunity, and it's not going to be easy. But what's going to make it great, and that when you get to look back on it, is some of the stuff that was hard that you're willing to step into and you're willing to do. And that's because you're going to be willing to risk. And part of that is these things. Okay, sorry, I'm not able to see. The bottom one I have here is security, all right? And I put that one in that order because this is the foundation. These other ones can kind of happen in a different order. So I've got security, identity, belonging, purpose, competence. Okay, so when I talk about security, the question that answers is, who can I trust? So if you have a teammate or a coach or a parent or somebody that's kind of around, and inside your gut, and you might not even know it, there's a lack of trust. You're not going to be as willing to risk, right? And so, I did something and it made that buzz, didn't I? Sorry, I'm not sure what I did. Okay. And that's going to be the crux of creating this team culture, that if there isn't the trust there, it's going to be difficult to share. And I know that coaches have put in some player captains and stuff, and so you've got lots of different avenues, and I'm encouraging you now, challenging you now, use those, really try to create so that you have this space, this place within your team where there's a security that you're willing to risk, that you're willing to be bloodied as you go on this trip, okay? So that And generally, it's the first one through the wall, and that's a term that they use in baseball and in the league of their own, is that if there's an obstacle and you're the first one that's willing to talk about it, you're the first one that's willing to kind of put yourself out there and risk on it, you're either gonna get hurt or you're gonna hurt somebody. And it might be just the way you said something, and okay, women, we got the hormones happening, right? And so sometimes you're really easy to talk to, and it's not a problem. And then there's some days where you're not quite so lovely, and you don't even realize it sometimes. All right, and you just feel like you got up on the wrong side of the bed, and you're bloated a little bit or whatever, okay? Right, and so you say something, and you don't mean to hurt anybody, but it happens. And so with the security, as a team, to build this positive team culture, you've got to be able to forgive, and you have to be able to be forgiven. And you have to be able to, in terms of your sharing, kind of be honest, and just say, I mean no harm by this, but this is what I'm feeling right now. And sometimes in a team sport, what happens with the false harmony, okay, because as athletes, we're always trying to fool our brain and our body, right? You get a little niggly, I can play through it, I'm gonna be all right, I'm just gonna walk it off, like I really wanna play. I don't wanna say anything to the coach because maybe he won't let me play in that game. I think it's a really important game, I really wanna be a part of it. And so you lie to your body lies to your head, and you kind of try and play through stuff that maybe you shouldn't be, right? Or, you know, there's lots of little scenarios like that. You, in some ways, your coach knows your body language better than you do. Because as a player, you're trying to fool it. I'm not as tired as I think. I can do another minute. I can do another minute, right? And the coach is kind of watching from the outside and gets to learn and kind of knows what your body looks like. And they know when you pass that point and you really do, thank you, you really do need a sub, right? Because what? Y'all want to play. I know that. I still want to play. Ken still wants to play, right? You're never too old. In our mind, you're never too old. Like, I mean, okay, my attitude is kind of, got introduced to an American Taekwondo gold medalist. And we're thinking, he's this little guy, right? And they're talking about some stuff and saying some things. And I kind of look in my head, so I'm thinking, I can take him. I can take him. I mean, there's no way I could really take him, but I sort of have that bulldog thing in me, right? Like, all right, I could, I'm never going to back down from a fight. But and who am I? If I was to do that, he'd kill me, right? And that's where my body, as an athlete, you're always trying to fool your body into, I can do this, I can do that. And there's times where we really got to have a look at, one, you need to start to become more self-aware, but you don't want to do it where it becomes self-destructive. You want it to be positive, and that's where it's got to be in terms of your core. It's the trust and the truth. And from what the little bit of conversation I've had is, you've got Brian who's willing to listen. He's got people in place that you can come and talk to. That you're given a space to do that. And so as athletes, is to use that. Don't be afraid of that, and especially as young, you guys there's so much potential as I listen to what I've been told as I sit here today and what Grant has given me as background and looking back through your record last year and doing some of those things. It is truly a really exciting time for this club. And you get to be the trendsetters, right? You get to take this Premier League thing and go, all right, we're here right now, but we're not staying there. We're going to move forward. And so here's a couple of questions that I challenge you with as you go as you move forward with it, okay? And first I'm going to say this little quote. Great leaders build and strengthen their team culture with open, thoughtful dialogue, one truthful brick at a time, okay? And it's just going to be one step at a time, okay? And just be real. And here's the questions for you. Are you willing to trust? Trust yourself, but trust everyone else here who really wants to have your back. You're here because you really do want to back each other. But are you doing the right things and saying the right things to each other, or to an umpire, or to a coach that gets you there, right? Are you willing to have the courageous conversation. And it might be a teammate, it might be a coach, it might be a parent, okay? It might be an umpire, it might be, who knows, right? Okay? Because here's the bottom line. You will have to risk. Nothing comes for free, and it's going to be hard, but the payoff is great. If you put a little bit into it, the payoff is little, right? It's what you put in is what you get out, and that's just the truth of life. You will have to be forgiven. Can you be gracious about it? Right? Can you be graceful with it? You will have to forgive. Can you be loving when you have to forgive? Are you willing to change? Because where you're at doesn't move you up here. To go from here to there, you will have to change. Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem that you're in with the same level of thinking that got you into that space. And it's the same with playing a sport game. The psychology, the mentality, the physicalness of all of it. You can't stay where you're at and expect to get a different result. If you want more, you're going to have to put more in, and that comes back to the risk factor. You will have to choose to be a good friend. And sometimes you're going to feel like it's an enemy, but you still need to become a good friend. And I keep bringing up the umpires. I'm sorry if there's an umpire in here, but sometimes they, as a player, you feel like they're your enemy, right? And if you don't grow, you can't control what the umpire does. So you gotta let that go, right? And you got, they're there to try and help you and to keep this game great. And so you've got to be willing. And then, of course, with your teammates, is you've got to be a good friend. How do you want them to treat you when you get into a circumstance where it's not your best day? Okay? When everything's good and it's all going well, it's easy. But that's not what's going to take you to the next level of how do you be great. Okay? And so, again, it comes back to core, your attitude. And just three more things real quickly. What my coach did for me, and one of the big lessons I came from her, is that playing this game is not a sacrifice. You get to choose, in some ways you get to choose, obviously you get selected. But it's not like you're giving up anything for this, it's an opportunity. This is truly an opportunity, and it's to do great and extraordinary things. And despite that all of us are just ordinary people, okay, it gives you a chance to do something extraordinary. And it's, as much as I'd like to be able to tell you what all that is, until you live it, you're not going to get it. You're just going to hear it from people like your coaches and older people like me who've been through some of that stuff to go, just listen to us and just hang in there and do some of this hard stuff and be willing to work through it, and you will benefit. The stuff that you get out of it is just, you wouldn't trade it for anything, right? Do every session and play every game as if it's the gold medal game, or if it's the Premier League final game. If you take that attitude into your training, okay, and kind of, or you've got to do one of those critical conversations, okay? Go, you know what, this is gonna be what makes it better. So I'm gonna be willing to step in. I'm gonna say this because I know it needs to be said. I need someone to know, I'm real scared right now. I don't feel like I can do this part, or whatever it might be. Push yourself to get the most out of it, so that tomorrow when you get up, you don't have a regret. Don't kind of sit around and hum and haw about something. Make a decision, right? You know you're trying to go that way, and your intent is to go that way, and then you go, evaluate and go, okay, no, get you back on track. We waste so much time not deciding fully to do something or to embrace something, and then it sort of gets away from us, and all of a sudden, 4 weeks ago we were thinking, and now we're 4 weeks behind, right? So grab onto this, you guys. It is so exciting. And I am so thankful that you gave me this opportunity to speak to you. There's so many other things I could have talked about. I hope that there's been some stuff you've been able to get out of this.